Clarksville.
WJZM Radio, Clarksville, Tennessee.
Fans, it's time to suit up and dive right in to the Saturday Sports Splash, the show that's always making waves. Now, here's your host, Justin Swallows.
Good Saturday morning to you, sports fans, and welcome back into the Splash. We are honored yet again that you have chosen to kick off your sports weekend with our Sports Talk radio show. We do it each and every week, Saturday mornings from 10 to 11, right here on the Big 1400 WJZM, and we've got a big college football weekend, big pro football weekend, plenty of great football on the docket for the next couple of days. And the biggest game, the one we'll be talking about throughout the entirety of today's show, the University of Tennessee Martin, the number 18 team in all of the football championship subdivision, is going to be at Austin Peay tonight. Kickoff set for 6 o'clock at Forterra Stadium. We will be out there in full force, and we're looking forward to it. We'll talk about it throughout the show. Also, a game you can hear right here later on this afternoon. The University of Tennessee hosts Georgia. That game set to kick off, I believe, at 2:30 today, and you can hear it right here on the Big 1400. We're happy to be your local Vol Network affiliate. And then for all of you pro football fans, I know I, for one, am fired up about the Tennessee Titans. They will be on the road taking on the Houston Texans tomorrow right at noon. You can watch it locally on CBS, a huge divisional matchup for the men in two-tone blue. But again, we're going to be focusing throughout the entirety of today's show on the big OVC showdown tonight at Forterra Stadium. We're going to find out just how good our Austin Peay State University Governors are. The Govs are off to a 2-0 start in FCS play, but they're going to be tested greatly tonight against a very good team from UT Martin, the number 18 team in the country, rolling into town tonight. Again, the kickoff set for 6 o'clock at Forterra Stadium. I always like to, here at the top of the show, take you through the high school football roundup. I know a lot of you were listening last night as we brought you Clarksville Academy football here on the Big 1400. A tough night for the Cougars as they fell against Jackson Christian on the road, 49-17, the final there. It was a tough night overall for area teams. Kenwood High beat West Creek by 10, 26-16. Dyer County took down Northwest 35-19. Northeast just snuck past Clarksville High. That was a great game. You heard over on our sister station, 105.1 The Wolf. The final in that one, 20-14, Northeast over Clarksville High. Harpeth High rolled over Stewart County. Greenbrier absolutely blasted Montgomery Central, 42-7, the final in that one. And Mount Juliet took it to Rossview as expected, 31-17, your final score there. That is your high school football scoreboard from last night. And it's time to roll over today and talk about the collegiate ranks as the Governors of Austin Peay get set to take on the Skyhawks of UT Martin. And we've got several different perspectives lined up for you today. At the end of our show, we'll talk with Austin Peay's offensive line coach and run game coordinator, Joshua Ergel. In the middle of our show, we'll talk with the brand new football communications coordinator over at the P. Justin Jeffries will join us. But as we kick things off today, we're going to get a perspective that we ought to get a little more often, and that is an alumni perspective. Dwayne King joins us. He played football at Austin Peay from 1987 to 1991. He's a huge supporter of the Governors today, and he is on with us right now. Dwayne, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Justin?
Absolutely great. We hope you'll step up to the phone a little bit and speak up for us. We could barely hear you there, Dwayne. And we know alumni involvement as a whole at Austin Peay, especially in terms of athletics, it is without question on the rise. But, Dwayne, with you specifically, what brought you back into the fold? Why have you chosen to increase your involvement with APSU football in specific?
Well, football in specific, I met a young lady over there by the name of Brandy Bryant and at the River Club, and we just kind of got to talking and about Austin Peay athletics. She's a good friend with Trenton Hassel, and I've always been a basketball supporter since being at the university, and she was just like, hey, we really got some good things going on over at the football side and would love, to get some input from you. So started just kind of going through the roster and just looking at things and looking at the staff that Coach Healy's put together, and looked at some of the scores from last year. And as soon as the season started this year, my wife and I traveled to Cincinnati to watch them play, which, man, who would have thought Austin Peay had a defense? I mean, it's really it's really shown. Of course, going up against Cincinnati, who all the way until 8 minutes in the fourth quarter were running right there with Michigan. So I just really think they're on to something good. The personnel that they're able to recruit now seems to be above average. And, of course, depth means a lot when you're playing football. You've got to be able to move bodies in and out, and they have a lot of depth at different positions. And I want to be a part of the football program. I think Austin Peay's primarily been a baseball and basketball school, and I think with Coach Healy and his staff there, we're going to be able to include football in that mix as well.
Sure feels nice to be able to do that. There's a ton of positivity around Austin Peay football right now as the Govs get set to host UT Martin tonight. We're getting an alumni perspective on Governors football this morning. Dwayne King played for the Govs back in 1987, played there from 87 to 89. And Dwayne, aside from a conference championship back in 1977 and just a stray outlier every 5 to 7 years or so, there hasn't been a ton of sustained success within Austin Peay football's past. You were there, as I said, in the late 80s to early 90s. What was your experience like playing for the Govs?
Of course, anytime, a kid like myself has played football since he was 7 or 8 years old, and you get a chance to play collegiately, you're excited about it. I was telling someone yesterday, no matter what skill set of players you have, it's kind of like a business. You can have the best athletes, you can have the best employees, but if management is not where it needs to be, then success is really not going to follow. And my time there was good. Enjoyed playing with the guys. You had some camaraderie, but I just felt like we did not have a commitment. And, with anything, there's got to be heavy, heavy commitment. And during that time, I think the program was just kind of flailing a little bit. And like you just said, outside of the OVC championship year, basically Austin Peay's just kind of been mediocre. I think 7-4 under Coach Christoffel in the early 90s, that's really been the last hurrah for Austin Peay athletics as far as football goes. And it was a trying time. I mean, during my time there, we won one game in that 3-year span. That's kind of disheartening. But like I said, I did have a lot of fun with the guys. And, like I said, anytime you're able to play on the next level, you feel like you had some sort of success. But I really feel like Coach Healy and his staff are headed in the right direction as opposed to just being kind of old school. I think I love Coach Luce, and Austin Peay basketball has been great. But, I think it just maybe passed them by a little bit. You can kind of equate it to like NASCAR. You had those Earnhardts and you had the Pettys and some of those guys, the Allisons. And even though you still have those names in the sport, just the frame of mind and the technology has maybe come a little beyond where they are. And so you need that new, excited and exuberant staff to kind of kick things in gear. So I think that's where they're headed.
Well, let's talk about Austin Peay football and the way it's been kicked into gear, Dwayne. It seems like all we hear about from the current coaching staff is they keep talking about the changing of the culture. How important do you feel like things like culture and mentality really are? And comparatively, how do you perceive the current culture around the team versus what it was like back when you played?
There's a lot of former players that I had never heard of, had never met or done anything. So consequently, when I was there, I never heard about any football stars from Austin Peay or anything. But since reconnecting with this new staff, I mean, take, for instance, the first home game this year against Moorhead a couple weeks ago. I mean, man, they had the whole 1977 OVC guys out there, had them there for a breakfast, meeting the players of this era. I think that's very vital because those guys did have success. The coaching staff was great then. And, kids need to – it's I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you feel a sense of, hey, that I am at a good place. We can be successful. There was a time when this school was looked at as a powerhouse in the OVC, and so I think that's very meaningful for the kids that are there now. Very meaningful for the kids coming in, but some of the kids that are on this current team now, your juniors and seniors, man, they've had a dismal 2-3 years. And so to see some success now and the culture of the community, there was almost 9,000 people at that home game. And my Lord, I couldn't tell you, there may have been 2,000 people at a football game when I played there. And I think, bringing back former players, just involving the community, getting the logos changed a little bit, the clothing, all of those things, I think, make a difference. And, of course, we know we live in the time of the millennials, so to speak. And, kids want to feel like they're a part of something. So having the red, white, and blue all over town and, just really trying to involve the community a lot more, it's going to make your recruits want to be a part of Clarksville in general. And I think Coach Healy and his staff have really took hold of that.
Well, you can just feel the difference. I don't think there's any question about it. Things are changing around Austin Peay football, and part of that is getting some great alumni involved. We're getting some alumni perspective on the program today from Dwayne King, who played for the Govs back from 1987 to 1991. And, Dwayne, some say the commitment level from an administrative standpoint is at an all-time high right now for Austin Peay athletics. From your vantage point, how fair would it be to say that for a long time the school was less than all in when it came to fielding competitive sports programs across the board?
I really feel like, that's probably, let's face it, without stepping on anybody's toes, all universities have a, quote, they have an agenda. And, some may be all academic, some may be academic and fine arts, some may be academic, fine arts, and a little sports here or there. And without a doubt, Austin Peay has, put out some great, they're great in the arts. Matter of fact, one of my good buddies, Scott Wise, he's done a lot of the sculptures here in town, and he's an alumnus of Austin Peay. And so the university has really been focused, from my vantage point, on education, which is very key and very crucial, and that is a good place to be. Of course, basketball has been a staple, and of course we know athletics brings money to the university. So in that sense, I think the new youth and the vibrant input of even some of the kids that are starting to enroll in the school now, I think that's maybe snapped something within the administration there to be like, hey, not only has basketball, baseball, they put a lot of athletes in the major leagues, and when all those things happen, it's like a revolving door. You want those people to. It's like Peyton Manning at UT Knoxville. He's being a vibrant part of UT. He's putting money back into the university. So all those things help. And I think with this recent push, there just seems to be a change. Like I was saying before with Coach Luce, sometimes it's just time to make a change. And I really feel as though with the new Forterra Stadium, some of your local restaurants, it's just a really good time for Austin Peay athletics right now. So I'm hoping everything stays the course. have a really tough game tonight. I'm looking forward to the young guys putting up a good fight. And, hey, I watched that entire game with Cincinnati. To be a 43-point underdog and go into that game and finish 26-14, and virtually we gave them 12 points. 34 minutes of time we had the ball on the time of possession. They had it only 20 minutes. So Austin Peay's well on its way, and I really feel like they got a big push. And you said it best. I mean, you've got to involve the alumni. And even from a standpoint, it doesn't always have to be monetarily. Just involving the alumni in decisions that are being made, the avenue you're going to take something. I think that really aids in success.
Dwayne King is our guest this morning. He played football over at Austin Peay from 1987 to 1991, and he has become a huge supporter of the program as of late. Dwayne, as we get into more of an X's and O's conversation, I would like to get just kind of your overall evaluation of this year's team. You said it, you've been following them since the beginning of the season. Obviously, the defense is like night and day improved. Statistically, they're the sixth best in the country coming into today, and the offense has been nearly unstoppable through 4 games running the football. What do you really like about this year's team? And on the flip side of that, as somebody who really knows the game, what, if anything, really concerns you about them?
As you get into the heart of I'll answer the last part of your question first. As you get into the heart of the OVC schedule, the secondary is going to have to do a little bit better work. What's really got that defense pumped up right now is those guys on the front four. I mean, they are getting in the backfield. They are getting pressure on the quarterback. The linebackers are shooting the gaps and shutting down the run. Cincinnati rushed for, I think, only 98 yards, and Austin Peay rushed for 178. The linebacking core really shuts down the gaps on the defense. When that doesn't happen, if a team changes direction during the course of a half and the front four are not able to get there, if the quarterback has a little time, they've been able to get some passes in on our secondary. So that will be my only concern getting into the meat of the OVC schedule, is that the secondary may be a little suspect, but those kids are able. May just need to maybe change up a few things with the defensive backs, and who knows what could happen. But as far as the X's and O's on their offensive side, quarterback's great, running backs are great. Of course, I'm an old school guy. I'm not much for the I formation. I like 3 backs in the backfield, one on either end and one guy sitting in the middle behind the quarterback, and you really make yourself kind of three-dimensional. Then Tennessee always has trouble when they face teams like Georgia Tech, Appalachian State, and some of those teams that kind of run that, not a wishbone, but that three-headed monster in the backfield that not include your quarterback, that makes it 4, that you don't know which direction that ball's coming. And even with just the I formation for Austin Peay, with Mr. Craig on the center, I mean, they've really had some good success running the ball, because that kid on that read option, I mean, he can take it the distance at any time. So that works out really well for them. And they've got a stable of running backs like I hadn't seen in a long time. Geez, I mean, other than the Titans themselves having Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray, I hadn't seen a combination in the backfield like Austin Peay has right now. So, like I said, I think tonight is a really good test, more so on the defensive side of the ball than offense. I think as long as we don't stay one-dimensional and can get some passes in the flat and maybe run some misdirections, I think the offense will be sufficient to score enough points. It's going to be up to that defense to slow down that monster running back that Damn, UT Martin has. That guy's putting up some crazy numbers right now.
UT Martin's got a great quarterback as well. They're well coached. Jason Simpson, the dean of coaches in the Ohio Valley Conference, he's been there for 12 years now, and he's only lost once to Austin Peay throughout those entire 12 seasons. Bigger, stronger, and faster, Dwayne. Those are the words we keep hearing from the current coaching staff describing their football team. For the first time in a long time, most of the team stayed on campus to train over the summer, and that seems to really be paying off in spades. What was the commitment like in the weight room back when you played at the P? And in your opinion, how much difference can a more serious conditioning approach make for a Division I college football program?
Makes all the difference in the world. I think if you look at going back to the pro game again, you look at the Titans versus Seattle last week. Seattle had to travel, of course. It's not near as humid in the Washington area like it is here. I think conditioning really showed a major difference in how the Titans were able to just pretty much run the ball down their throat, and the linemen were able to get such a heavy push that second half of that game. Conditioning means everything. When I was there wasn't a meal program. I actually trained at a facility away from the campus, Cobra Gym, that was here at the time in Clarksville. That was absolutely, I mean, it was an awesome place to be. We didn't really have, like I said, there wasn't a huge commitment to the program itself. And that's where Coach Healy, the administration, obviously from the president all the way down to the AD, are making that commitment to make players want to be there, having them stay together, and you can definitely see it. The kids are most definitely. It's not just a statement being made. The kids are definitely larger, stronger, much more in tune to what's going on. It's like anything. You have to spend time together. It has to be a family unit when you're playing football. You look at Belichick or Nick Saban coach teams. I mean, everybody, it goes back to that depth thing. Everybody's prepared to jump in if that guy falters, and you have to have that. Vanderbilt's another program that's kind of been on the rise as far as the depth chart goes. You know, Vanderbilt's always been able to hang with a team for 1 or 2 quarters, but always failed after that because there just was not enough depth to be able to compete. And Austin Peay is fast approaching that level, and so that makes all the difference in, you know, playing football is 4 quarters. I mean, we saw that in the Super Bowl last year. You got to play 60 minutes. You can't play 54. So that's just the way it is, and they're doing well at that right now.
Dwayne, I really appreciate you joining us this morning. It is great to get an alumni's perspective, somebody who has recently just come back to supporting the program and is really getting behind what's going on with Austin Peay football. It's great to hear from you. Dwayne King, folks, if you just tuned in, he's our guest. He played football for the Governors from 1987 to 1991. He's become a big supporter of the program as of late. And Dwayne, before we let you go, I just want you to kind of ensure me, if you don't mind, that this transformation is the real deal. What have you seen in specific so far this season that tells you what we're sitting here calling a turnaround isn't just a couple of fluky wins over subpar opponents?
Well, the very first thing is during my time there, I may have met, in that 3-year span, I may have met 25 recruits in that 3-year span that visited us, that seriously were thinking of coming and playing at the next level at Austin Peay State University. Coach Healy had over 100 recruits at the first home game against Moorhead. I mean, that speaks volumes to where the program is not only at, but also to where the coach's mindset is. You have to, I mean, he's pulling kids from Chattanooga, from Georgia, from Louisville. You know, it's not just locally where kids are going to school at Austin Peay now. I mean, he's going out. defensive coordinator, Marcus, he's from the Memphis area, and so they're pulling kids from a large pool of Tennessee athletics as far as football goes. It's comparable to Texas. I mean, you can go to any mid-state area on a Friday night. I mean, and it's all about that high school football, and that's the mentality that Coach Healy's bringing here. And his family's really involved in the community. They have the coaches speak every Monday night at Buffalo Wild Wings, and man, we had a great turnout. And I think it's a combination of the university's commitment, the coaching staff's commitment, the players, the current players' commitment, and like you said on this show today, getting the alumni involved. I mean, I can't tell you, I'm good friends with Mark Covington that was on that 77 OVC team. He's a general contractor here in town, and he's super excited. It's just been hey, I hadn't been to an Austin Peay football game since 1991. That ought to tell you something.
Well, I know they're proud to have you.
17, and I've just gone back, and I think it's for real. I do not believe that this will be just a 2-win season. I predicted without even seeing the first game that they would win 4. Just having met Brandy, met the AD, hanging out with the staff. I mean, even the girl, Katie, that sells the tickets, they are on board for this Austin Peay football program, and you got to have that. Any family has to have a supporting cast, and I think Austin Peay football they're developing that supporting cast, and I think it's going to have them going in the right direction.
Well, the level of buy-in is there. I don't think there's any question, and you are great proof of the level of buy-in from the community and from that group of alumni. Dwayne King, our guest this morning, he played football at Austin Peay from 1987 to 1991, and he's just come back into the Austin Peay football fold and become a huge supporter of the program. Dwayne, we appreciate you supporting our show this morning and being a part of it.
Hey, Justin, it was great, man. Anytime. I really appreciate you having me on, and let's go Peay.
Let's go Peay. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Dwayne King, a newly involved Austin Peay football alumni coming back into the fold, helping out the program and contributing in a lot of different ways. So we appreciate that perspective. It's one we don't always get here in the Saturday Sports Splash. We're going to bring you several different angles on Austin Peay football this morning as the Governors get set to host UT Martin tonight. The Skyhawks, the number 18 ranked team in the country, one of the top scoring offenses in the nation at the championship subdivision level, and one of the top scoring defenses. So they've scored a lot of points. They've kept teams from scoring a lot of points against them, and they have got some great athletes on both sides of the football. It'll be a tough test tonight. I don't know that it'll be a tough night, but it'll be a tough test tonight for the Governors. We hope it's not a tough night. We hope it's a great night over at Forterra Stadium. The contest kicks off at 6 o'clock, and we'll talk about it more next. As from the Austin Peay Sports Communication Department, Justin Jeffries joins us. He's the new guy over there. He took over as the communications director for football just about a month ago, and he'll be on the line with us next as we talk about his job and the role he has taken in promoting the program throughout the community, throughout the state, throughout the region. We'll have that conversation next here on the Saturday Sports Splash.
Ever lost or misplaced your debit card? Now, before that happens, download the Card Valet mobile app. With it, you can turn your F&M debit card on and off, establish when, where, and how it is used, and much more. And best of all, it's free. From F&M Bank, member FDIC.
Made to order, never frozen Midwest beef served on a toasted buttery bun is just the beginning at Culver's of Clarksville. The experience crescendos into fresh homemade custard that you can customize into delectable treats like sundaes, banana splits, or one of their signature concrete mixers. You'll be treated like family and fed like royalty at Culver's of Clarksville, near Exit 4 just off Wilma Rudolph Boulevard at 140 Southampton Place. Culver's of Clarksville. Welcome to Delicious. There's finally a stress-free, no-risk way to buy a new mattress thanks to Beds Express. With their Triple Z guarantee, there's literally no way you can go wrong. Don't waste another night tossing and turning on your old, worn-out bed. Dive into affordable comfort at Beds Express in Clarksville at 1767 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, Bellevue at 7643 Highway 70 South, and in Murfreesboro at 2222 Medical Center Parkway. Beds Express, Middle Tennessee's better sleep solution.
Jackson's Body Shop downtown. Jackson's Body Shop downtown. It's your car, it's your voice. Jackson's Body Shop, the best choice. Dents, dings, major body repair. A pre-loaner car, 'cause we really care. Jackson's Body Shop downtown. Jackson's Body Shop downtown. Call 647-6989 for Jackson's.
Looking to catch the big game with a group of friends? Do it O'Neill style. Want to see a great live band rock the stage? Do it O'Neill style. Hungry for a great meal or just thirsty for an icy cold draft beer? Get them O'Neill style at O'Neill's Bar and Grill, a genuinely great American sports bar. They've got wall-to-wall TVs, huge selections behind the bar, and a menu that obliterates the average pub fare. Clarksville's best times take place at O'Neill's Bar and Grill, located at 1979 Madison Street in Midtown.
WJZM Radio, Clarksville, Tennessee.
We are talking more Austin Peay football than anybody else this morning here on the Saturday Sports Splash as we get you set for a tough test tonight for the Govs. They'll host number 18 UT Martin tonight at 6 o'clock inside Fort Terrace Stadium. And one of the newest additions for Governors football joins us next. Justin Jeffries on the line. He's the new APSU football communications director. Justin, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, Justin. Thanks for having me on. It's exciting time here in Clarksville. I know I'm new to the area, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far through 4 weeks.
Well, you are coming in at a good time, no doubt. Your debut article online at letsgop.com when you first got here just over a month ago, it was a glowing review on the positive direction Governors football seems to be headed in. Obviously, Justin, your job is to promote the APSU athletics department and everything Austin Peay sports, but were you genuinely almost immediately sold on the recent progress made within that program? And if so, what was it that got you so wholeheartedly on the bandwagon so soon?
Yeah, absolutely. When I came here to interview for the job, and I talked to everybody, of course, you do your own research, and you look up and you see the 27-game losing streak, and you see the lack of success in recent years for the football program, and you wonder how you're going to spin some things. You start going through your mind, what can I write about? What, we're going to focus on the players, we're going to focus on the coaches. The change is coming, it's coming, it's coming. And after I accepted the job on my first day, I walked down to practice. I met Coach Healy, some of the staff, and it's hard to put into words. I did my best in that article, but it was just different. You see the guys jumping around, having a good time, dancing. It did not look like a team or a program that had suffered 27 straight losses. And so I was able to change my focus right away. I was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it could be. This isn't futility, or this isn't guys hanging their heads or anything like that. This team believes in something. And so then I had a chance to watch them play. My first game, we went up to Miami, Ohio, and they stayed in that game all the way, just for a few jump balls there in the end zone. That's the only thing that really hurt them that entire game. And then, of course, the Moorhead game where it all kind of came full circle. And you just, you're happy for the guys, and I'm happy to be a part of this program, and mainly just, it's been a fun experience so far through 4 weeks.
What a way to break a losing streak. Austin Peay trounced Moorhead State a couple of weeks ago, and then they go to Murray State last weekend and really blow out the Racers in a contest that was never in doubt. They'll be tested tonight as they host the number 18 team in all of FCS football, UT Martin, in town for the first game in the Alvin C. York Trophy Series. And, folks, if you don't know about that, you should. The Alvin C. York Trophy goes to the top team in Tennessee from the Ohio Valley Conference. Whichever OVC team ends up with the best record in the state of Tennessee, they get the Alvin C. York Trophy, or maybe better known as the Sarge. So somebody will get the Sarge at the end of this season, and this is the first game in that series for Austin Peay as they host UT Martin tonight at 6 o'clock. Justin Jeffries joining us. He is the new Austin Peay Football Communications Director. And Justin, you come to Austin Peay with really an impressive resume, having worked for a year actually up at UT Martin and doing everything from sports writing to sports broadcasting as a student down at North Alabama. I'm sure you had plenty of career prospects. What made you choose Clarksville? What made you choose Austin Peay?
Well, there was a familiarity with it from last year when I was at UT Martin. I met the guys here, Cody and Colby in the office here in sports information. I was able to talk to Kevin a little bit. He's now for the marketing team. And when I came over here, you know, I shook hands with Ryan Ivey. And for where my position was at UT Martin, you know, these people didn't have to go out of their way to talk to me or help me. But they definitely made a great impression. And when I came back for the interview, it was nothing but, you know, class. Like, I got to talk to everybody again. And I'd interviewed for several jobs. And this one just felt a little different. I mean, not only as the prospect and living close to Nashville, which I'm a huge Predators fan, so that was obviously a big positive. But when I got here and got on campus and you see the buy-in, you see what everybody's doing, it's kind of like the alum that you just had on, Dwayne, and we certainly appreciate him being involved and doing all the things he does. That kind of validates what, you know, we're trying to do here. And a big part of it for me was they told me I could focus on my writing. A huge improvement in this program compared to a lot of places is that they have the standalone marketing program, and in different places you go, SIDs are responsible for graphics, videos, writing, social media. They have it all, but here, you know, there's such an effort being made to promote Austin Peay from a positive standpoint that they've kind of separated this, and they've allowed us all to do the things that we're really good at and focus on those. For me, it would be the writing. They got Kevin over there doing the marketing. They have hired new video ops. They've hired new, you know, director of fan operations. They brought people in from all different aspects, and you know, that was their selling point. Is like we're trying to do something here that hasn't really been done, especially at the mid-major level, where we can all, you know, focus on the things that are positive. And I think you've seen the results, especially on social media when videos are being shared by Good Morning America, and you know, these graphics are getting upwards of 200, 300 likes, and you know, we're able to put out all these statistics. We've got guys behind the scenes that Cody Bush here, my boss, he does a great job of, you know, providing all of those for us. And he's been here for 19 years, so he's seen the transformation. And just having him, you know, talk to me a little bit when I was on my interview about, look, this is the direction they want to go, and I really think it's going to be beneficial. And, you know, that was a really big selling point for me, that I was going to be able to come in here and focus on my writing and, you know, not have to get bogged down with some of the other stuff that I wasn't necessarily so good at. So, yeah, it was just a really good experience. And once they told me that and I talked with my wife about it, you know, it was a done deal from there for me.
Justin, let's discuss content. I know you guys, you mentioned have a full-time video staff, a marketing department that's very involved in athletics. And that, in addition to online articles, you guys are putting out interview segments and even highlight reels. What is the thought process behind mixing in all of those different mediums, and just the goal overall for your department in terms of putting out information, meanwhile promoting Austin Peay football?
Well, I think you try to reach every audience. There's still a lot of people that grew up in a different generation that enjoy reading, that enjoy getting online, reading the, you know, the long-winded articles and talking in depth about certain things. And then you have the new age people that like to scroll through Twitter and just look at videos and graphics and, you know, and maybe hit like or retweet or something like that. So you do your best to appeal to all audiences. And it's not so much about how many people we can reach. It's just the people that we know are reading and, you know, that they want to look at the graphics. They want to see the stuff through Twitter. We're just making sure we take care of them and provide them with the content that they want to see and that they want to hear. And I think so far through 3 weeks, especially with football, and, you know, we're still very new here. I mean, I've been here for 4 weeks. A lot of people on staff have been here for, you know, just over a month, 2 months. And so we're still kind of feeling each other out and learning the right ways to do things. But, you know, we're putting upwards of 35 articles out each week, depending on, you know, the sports that we have going on, whether it's tennis, golf, football, and volleyball is doing really well. Soccer's doing really well. And so we've got all kinds of contents. We're able to write feature stories about, you know, some of the young men that play football here and, you know, their past and how they wound up at Austin Peay. And some of those stories are really just incredible. And I would definitely go and encourage everybody to check those out. And, you know, you're just able to focus on the student athletes. You're focused on the alumni. It just makes the job that much more enjoyable when you can do the things that, you know, the reason you got into the business in the first place, and that's helping the young kids out and taking care of your alumni. And, at the same time, it's not a job. I mean, I come to work every day with a smile on my face. I make a little to-do list, and I'm ready to go. And then I get to sit down and write about some of these experiences and stories, and it's just been amazing so far.
Justin, it is a job, and it's become a tougher job. Folks, by the way, if you just tuned in, we're talking with Austin Peay's new football communications director, Justin Jeffries. And after years of being kind of an also-ran, Justin, you come into this football program and into that role as the football communications director at a surprisingly busy time. All of a sudden, there's a huge interest in Governor's football. We've got a head coach that has really inserted himself as a statewide media favorite. We've got one of the nicest venues in all of FCS football. And as of right now, we're undefeated in championship subdivision play. How hectic have things been for you since hitting the ground there less than a month ago? What are your day-to-day responsibilities, and how do they increase with the growing success and interest in the program?
Yeah, it was the Monday after Moorhead was pretty wild from our office. My phone didn't stop ringing much that day. But that's a good thing. I mean, we got calls, like you said, from national, people from FCS, SB Nation. Everybody wanted to talk to Coach Healy and talk to some of the players about what it was like to win. And I think the growing response from every single person was, yeah, we're glad we got the win, but we want to get more. I mean, we expect to get more. This wasn't just a one-time thing. And they backed that up a little bit at Murray. So, like I said, I come in and I kind of put together a to-do list most of the time. At the start of the week, it is, organizing things for Coach Healy and making sure that we get him to everybody that wants to talk to him. I mean, it's satisfying everybody is one of my, biggest goals on top of the writing and stuff like that. I want to make sure that everybody that wants to tell this story, has a chance to tell it from their perspective. And I don't think you can get enough of that, and Coach Healy agrees. So we do everything we can to accommodate, both local media, whether it's print, national media, whether it's phone interviews or even Coach. I know he went down to Nashville and he did an interview, and then he talked to some of the radio stations there. And so we just try to get as much exposure to the program as we can, not just from his perspective. I mean, obviously it's a big help to him, but, from our perspective too, we want people tuning in to Austin Peay and learning about the things that are going on here, not just, breaking the losing streak and, building on that, but also, there is a lot of exciting things happening in Austin Peay right now. So we just want to be able to tell the story. And if we can't fully explain the story, then we want other people to tell it from their perspective and try to accommodate them as best we can.
Justin, you've done a great job with that, and I appreciate the relationship you've already built with our sports department here at WJZM. As a matter of fact, you've lined up a great interview for us for the end of our show, and we're going to get to that now. We appreciate you joining us, Justin. We appreciate what you're doing with the communications department for Austin Peay football. Justin Jeffries, our guest, he's the new communications director for APSU football, and he's doing a fine job, Justin. We thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us this morning, and we appreciate all of the information throughout the various platforms that you're providing about Austin Peay sports and about Austin Peay football in specific each and every week.
Thank you, Justin, and go Govs.
Absolutely. Go Govs. Let's go Peay. Go Govs. I like the feel of the show this morning. We've been all about Austin Peay football, and we'll continue that as we get set to round it out. We'll go straight to the coaching staff. Joining us to wrap up the show, Austin Peay football offensive line coach and run game coordinator, Joshua Ergel. Speaking of the run game, Austin Peay's got one of the best rushing attacks in the country. We'll dive deeper into it right after this on the Saturday Sports Splash.
Looking to catch the big game with a group of friends? Do it O'Neill style. Want to see a great live band rock the stage? Do it O'Neill style. Hungry for a great meal or just thirsty for an icy cold draft beer? Get them O'Neill style at O'Neill's Bar and Grill, a genuinely great American sports bar. They've got wall-to-wall TVs, huge selections behind the bar, and a menu that obliterates the average pub fare. Clarksville's best times take place at O'Neill's Bar and Grill, located at 1979 Madison Street in Midtown.
How did you sleep last night? Did you wake up sore, or worse yet, still feeling tired? Say goodbye to that constant state of drowsiness with one quick trip to Beds Express. They're fighting sleepless nights one bed at a time, and they're doing so with a trusted staff of comfort experts trained to get you a good night's rest at an affordable price. Go see them at 1767 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard in Clarksville, 7643 Highway 70 South in Bellevue, or at 2222 Medical Center Parkway in Murfreesboro. Visit Beds Express today and sleep well tonight. Ever lost or misplaced your debit card? Now, before that happens, download the Card Valet mobile app. With it, you can turn your F&M debit card on and off, establish when, where, and how it is used, and much more. And best of all, it's free from F&M Bank. Member FDIC.
Jackson's Body Shop downtown. Jackson's Body Shop downtown. It's your car, it's your voice. Jackson's Body Shop, the best choice. Dents, dings, major body repair. A free loaner car, 'cause we really care. Jackson's Body Shop downtown. Jackson's Body Shop downtown. Call 647-6989 or Jackson's.
Family outings should be special. They should be memorable. They should be fun. And you'll find all of that and more with a short trip to Culver's of Clarksville. With a focus on customer service and quality farm-fresh ingredients, Culver's is serving food and fun at a whole new level. Go by today for one of their made-to-order butter burgers or a waffle cone stuffed with fresh frozen custard. They're at 140 Southampton Place, just off Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Culver's of Clarksville. Welcome to delicious.
WJZM Radio, Clarksville, Tennessee.
Huge tests lined up tonight for the Governors of Austin Peay. They're currently undefeated in the football championship subdivision, hosting the number 18 UT Martin Skyhawks at 6 o'clock over at Fort Terrace Stadium. If you don't have tickets, you can get them at the door. You can call ahead and get them, 931-221-P, 931-221-PEAY. You're going to want to be a part of it. Our next guest will be a huge part of it. He has been since they got here, a little over, I guess, a year and a half ago. The new coaching staff rolled into town. Boy, they've made a huge difference. And like I said, our next guest has been a big part of it. Austin Peay football's offensive line coach and run game coordinator, Joshua Ergel, kind enough to join us on a game day. Coach Ergel, how are you?
Doing great, Justin. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, I appreciate you being with us. And we keep hearing about how things have changed for Austin Peay football and how the culture around the program is just completely different from what it's been there in the past. What does that mean to you, Coach? What were the tangible effects you guys hoped to see when you came here a little over a year and a half ago, promising some real change?
Well, I think that in any good organization, when you want to see change, you've got to start with a vision. I think Coach Healy's come in here with an outstanding vision of what he wants this program to be and where he wants us to go. And the number two thing is you got to have buy-in from some young men. And I can't sing their praises enough. The young men that put on that white helmet with that red AP on the side of their head, they give it all for each other. They give it all for their school and their community, and they just love one another. We've got outstanding vision. We've got outstanding leadership, and we've got some young men to lay on the line for each other, and it's evident by the passion they play with each and every Saturday.
The Austin Peay offense is right now one of the best rushing attacks in the country. You're averaging almost 300 yards on the ground per game, and I know, Coach, that's largely thanks to what your guys are doing on the offensive line. How much improved is that unit as a whole versus what they were this time last season? And who are some of the guys that have really emerged as vocal leaders in that O-line room?
Well, I tell you what, now it's to be the second year here, it's great to have some stability in that room. And Max Ewald to right tackle, Byron Glass, kind of the anchor of our group at center, and Ryan Rockensus, our left guard. They've kind of been the anchor that we've kind of built around up front. We've added a couple new faces up front in the starting lineup with Kyle Anderton, left tackle, and Charles Mosley, at right guard. And they've been outstanding additions. Big, huge kids that are athletic, can really lean on people and impose their will on defensive lines and defensive fronts. And when you put that kind of mix together, we've been able to play 10 and in one game played 11 guys up front that really contributed to the cause and allowed us to really push people around and get after it. I know we could do that all day long if we don't have that quarterback in the backfield who are athletic, those running backs, stable running backs, really, that have been helping us get it done. But it's great to have guys in the room for a second year, and what's scary is we're going to have the vast majority of those guys back the following year.
No, it's awesome. It's not scary. It is absolutely awesome, and it's something that's got all of us Governors fans super excited. Coach, depth, as you mentioned that, it's something I want to give our listeners a good idea of, and I want to talk about exactly what that means for your team. How do you balance keeping fresh legs on the turf with also making sure guys develop chemistry and can get into some kind of a rhythm?
I think that that's a great question. I think that it goes back to the way we practice and prepare. I think the amount of reps we get in the course of a practice, if you come out there and watch us practice on a Tuesday or Wednesday or even a Friday morning, those young men are getting after it. Because of the intensity and passion in which they practice, they allow us to get a lot of reps. Well, we just don't wear out one unit. We prepare both units, and it allows us to get those guys mentally prepared to be able to play and know their game assignment. And I tell you what, now, when you start getting more than just the first group in the game, and that second group knows they've got to pull their part, and they're going to get an opportunity to run out there on that field and display their talents also, that makes practice more intense. It makes it more competitive. Everybody knows we're fixing to call on them, and that's a phenomenal problem to have. I mean, we got hungry guys up front and all over the offense that want to get out there and do their part to get us as a win. And that's been a really, really good problem. The young men, they embrace it. They battle for reps on game day. They fight during the week to get more and more reps. And every young man we put out there, I promise you, they've earned the opportunity to be out there. And what it's created is just created a team that's so hungry to compete on Saturdays. It's phenomenal. It's a great experience. It's a fun thing to have depth. It's a fun competitive spirit and passion to get on the field.
Austin Peay football offensive line coach and run game coordinator Joshua Ergel joining us on a game day as the Govs get set to host UT Martin tonight at 6 o'clock inside Forterra Stadium. Coach, depth, you mentioned all the good reasons to have depth, and I think the list is long, but it's almost a necessity on that offensive front because of the violent and sometimes volatile nature of that position. I know the injury bug bit that group pretty hard last season. How well have your guys up front fared this year? How many of your top contributors are still fully intact through these first 4 games?
Well, yeah, I think because of the depth, it's allowed us to stay more healthy. Those competitive reps on Saturday almost been cut in by a third because we can play the second group and not drop off competitively. I mean, the first game of the year against Cincinnati, that first group up front went out there 3 straight times and got no points. I put the 2s in there. We go right down the field and score 7 points. First touchdown of the year was the second offensive line. So it has directly correlated to health. It's allowed us to spread some of that pounding out a little bit, and especially as much as you run the football. I mean, if we were out there throwing it every down, that's a lot easier on an offensive line. Whereas the defensive line a little bit down, a little bit more as far as, I guess, cardiovascularly. But we believe in playing 2 platoon in that thing, getting 10 guys out there, pounding the opposing front. In the fourth quarter, the past 2 weeks, it's been evident. Those front sevens up front that the Govs have been playing, they're worn out. They're physically beat up and physically worn out. Now this whole group's coming to town this week. They're pretty daggone salty up front. They're pretty good. So it'll be a big test for us. It'll be a big measuring stick to see where we're at in the OVC as far as run game, if we can run on these guys. These guys are special.
You know, every one of your coworkers we've had on so far this fall, they've all taken time out to sing the praises of your strength and performance coach, Chris Laskowski. I know most of your guys were able to stay on campus to train over the summer. What are some of the more shocking physical transformations you saw take place as a result of that?
I don't think there's any doubt that when you have a phenomenal strength conditioning coach, it makes all the difference in the world. He's been an unbelievable asset to our program. Now, as an offensive line coach, that's got to be my best friend. I mean, me and Coach L, we've got to be joined at the hip and one in spirit, and so I can bring in these young guys and develop them. That great offensive line class that we brought in this past year, I'm redshirting 5 of the 6 guys, and it's just been a joy to do that. Not because of lack of ability, just because they're in there getting strong. And you talk about a hungry group. That freshman group now it's assembled, they're a hungry group, and they're making our defense better on scout team. But no, he's done an outstanding job. I tell you what, you can really see it in our skilled kids as far as their physical stature. Being thicker in the right areas, their muscle development up front in my area, I've really seen big guys get more agile. And I really felt like our strength levels and some of the guys that were returning, like a Max Ewald, like a Byron Glass, a Ryan Rockensus, they were strong. They were brute strength. I mean, they can you go put in numbers up to next to anybody, and they can throw some weight around in the weight room. What he's been able to do with some of those big guys is mobility and flexibility, whether it's even small things like your ankle flexion in their stance, to their hips, to their mobility. When they open up and run, we throw screens, and those big guys will go out there and just throwing their body around on little DBs. They're able to get out there and create contact and have space in space. And it's been his greatest asset to me up front. It's been the mobility and flexibility of our big guys So I really believe that Coach Laskowski's done a phenomenal job of just completing whole athletes and filling in deficiencies in a lot of our young kids. And it's only going to continue to grow that way with the two classes we now have in here, because you can see the products of those. I mean, the biggest story everybody talks about is the defensive end Matthew Gale coming in last fall in season and putting on 20 to 30 pounds. And but you can see that across the board. And with my guys, it's really been the flexibility and mobility part that's really been special to see.
It's one of the better offensive fronts in the country, at least thus far. Our Austin Peay football offensive line coach and run game coordinator Joshua Ergel, kind enough to be our guest this morning on a game day as the Govs get set to host UT Martin tonight at 6 o'clock inside Forterra Stadium. Coach, throughout your experience in the game, how much smarter have you seen the O-line position get, whether it be pulling, shifting, or stunning? It seems like you guys are always up to something up front. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen take place for that position group in specific?
I think for our group specifically, I think knowledge was a big thing we need to increase. And just overall as a game, to answer your question as a game, the old coaches, they'll tell you there's no really new tricks. It's just kind of a different flavor or a different wrinkle on it. I think what O-line coaches and what fronts are able to do nowadays in today's game is as the read option, the spread option, as these same philosophies of offense have now been spread away from the football, so to speak. The width, the horizontal stretch of the defense with the formations we're in, it puts those big boys in space more. And so what you've seen is offensive line coaches and run games get more and more creative with those guys up front. I really think the schemes are really, really similar. The blocking assignments are similar. The way we get there up front sometimes is a little bit different because of the window dressing and the motions and the shifts that we can put on a play that really allows or puts those big guys in some hard spots sometimes. So it's caused us, the offensive line coaches, to really get creative in how, okay, this right tackle, you've got to go block the play side linebacker. Well, how are we going to get him into this week? They got a 4-eye slanting or 5 slanting, and it's just allowed us. It's really more of how to get there, not really the assignment has really, really changed. And specifically for our group's done a really good job of studying the game. These young men have taken the opportunity to gain knowledge through film study and have really embraced it and do an unbelievable job on their own of really increasing their knowledge of the game.
Coach, it seems like they're just bought in on all fronts. I don't think there's any question about that right now. We're talking Governors football this morning with Austin Peay's offensive line coach and run game coordinator Joshua Ergel. And I would like, if you don't mind, for you to elaborate a little bit on your role as the run game coordinator and your through-the-week involvement with the offensive game plan versus your role within game day play calling. Would you describe your overall role in that respect as more advisory? What are the actual decisions, Coach, from week to week that fall 100% on your shoulders?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we got a great offensive coordinator in Wesley Satterfield. He does a phenomenal job of putting our young men in positions to be successful. And our offensive staff with Todd Pinkston and Sean Dawkins and Matt Wright have done a great job of really coming up with outstanding game plans. We go in there on a weekly basis, and it's kind of all for one and one for all. And Satterfield takes that plan and does a great job of calling it and adjusting. And then it's a team effort on Saturdays where in between series where this is what we're seeing and being sure we're all on the same page and making adjustments on the sidelines. I really feel like coaches really earn their paycheck during the game. And you can prepare for whatever you want to, but this goes back to that old saying that Mike Tyson used to say, everybody's got a plan till you get hit in the mouth. And I think that's one thing our offensive staff has done a really good job of this year, starting with Coach Satterfield, as adjusting on game days to whatever the plan was to try to stop our offense. And but Coach Satterfield calls 100% of the plays, and we're there to help support on game day and do adjustments during the series. And I think this offensive staff has really, really gelled and done a really good job of being sure our kids have what they need to execute a play, no matter if it's a different front we haven't seen or if they blitz a different way or they come from a different angle. Our young men have the tools in their tool belt, so to speak, to be able to make an adjustment on the fly on the field, and then we can adjust that permanently on the sideline. So it's been an honor. It's been a great year so far, and Coach Satterfield's doing a great job of calling these plays. And we're all happy to be a part of it and enjoy some of the success of these wins.
Coach, speaking of decision-making, I do not envy the one you guys have to make each week about who gets the lion's share of the carries out of the backfield. You've got a quarterback in Javon Craig who's rushing for over 100 yards a game. Then you got a boatload of talented tailbacks. Break them all down if you don't mind. Kentel Williams, Ahmad Tanner, Prince Mamadou, and Trey Nation. What do they each bring uniquely to the table, and what situationally is the right spot for every single one of them?
Yeah, I think that we're very, very blessed, so to speak. I mean, we got a quarterback that's leading, but I really think that's not really per calls. That's really on our calls. The defense kind of dictates who's getting it based off of reads. And what's awesome about that is your starting tailback's Kentel Williams, and Kentel's electric. All these Gov fans, we've seen him past the half of last year and the first 4 games of this year, how special he can be. I mean, for a young man to have 200 yards in a game and not touch the ball in the second half is just insane. I mean, it's awesome. And he's electric. He can go. I mean, he can slash, and he's a slasher-style runner. Then you come right behind him and you put in an Ahmad Tanner, a young man for a freshman, is so physically developed and explosive. It's unbelievable. He will not shy away from contact. He will bulldoze you if he gets the opportunity just because he enjoys contact. He's done a phenomenal job of running between the tackles and getting some hard yards last week when we need some really, really hard yards just because of how physically developed he is. I'd say you bring in a Trey Nation, I'd say he's built more like Ahmad. It's kind of like having 2 of those guys out there, and they're always fresh, and that's kind of awesome to have. I mean, those 2 guys, I don't never think they really take a tired snap. I think when they're handed the football, they're fixing to enjoy some success because of the good Lord and blessed them with great genetics, and they got great vision and great explosiveness, and they run behind their pads extremely well. Prince Mamadou, he's kind of our hybrid. He can go out there and be a fullback and lead on some plays. He can carry the ball and get some tough yards. He'll even catch some balls out of the backfield and swings, and so he kind of does a little bit of everything. But to have 4 guys in the backfield like that, and then to have 2 mobile quarterbacks, Javon starting off and Jeremiah Oswald coming in some relief is that's a luxury to have. That's not normal. That's the Coach Healy and the recruiting that this staff's done, and it's a lot of fun to take that many weapons into an offensive football game.
Coach, we're looking forward to the battle tonight against UT Martin, and your focus, obviously, from week to week is on that battle up front, as is the case in most games. That's probably where things will be decided tonight against the Skyhawks. What are the one-on-one matchups we should be keeping our eyes on at the line of scrimmage? Who are their best defenders, and who are the guys that have earned enough of your trust to draw those high-level assignments?
Yeah, they're going to base on a 3-down front, and they're going to put a really thick young man right across the ball from Byron Glass. Byron Glass can't get knocked back. He's got to be sure there's no penetration up front in the very middle. He's got to give us a great snap with a young man who's breathing the same air he's breathing before the ball snapped. It's a very taxing physical assignment Byron Glass has got. And then you got a great pass rusher in number 8. He comes off the end for them in a 3-down look. Our tackles have to be great on the edge with those guys. At second level, those linebackers they have are extremely athletic and explosive. Maybe one of the best groups we played against all year. Because of their scheme, they give you a lot of multiple fronts. So they're going to come down from a 3-down to really a 5-down and even a 4-down type front. It changes rules up front. We're going to have to communicate really, really well, and those linebackers create all those hard matchups for our tackles or sometimes individually up on our guards, and then they'll blitz. And so when we throw the football, our backs got to be able to pick up those athletic linebackers. And that front 7 they've got right there that really attacks the football opposing offenses is really, really good. And then they got an eraser back there. And number 18, their free safety, is a big physical kid, is electric. He erases all mistakes the front 7 makes. So you talk about a task. We got a daunting task ahead of us this evening. Full intention of our young men running full head of steam at that task and trying to accomplish that. Something really, really awesome that hadn't been done around here in a very long time. But we've got our hands full up front, and if the Govs can run the football tonight, the Govs will win.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I tell you what, you talk about it being a tough task, and I haven't always felt this way about Austin Peay football, but it's a tough task that I, for one, feel like you guys can get done. We'll be rooting for you tonight, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it.
Austin Peay football offensive line coach and run game coordinator Joshua Ergel, kind enough to join us on a game day. It's always great to get to hear from a member of the staff on game day, and I hope we've got you ready for a big one tonight for the Governors of Austin Peay. You heard Coach Ergel talking about the fact that it's been a while since Austin Peay has accomplished a task like they've got to tonight, and he's talking about beating a ranked team. It's not been any time recent that Austin Peay beat a ranked opponent. 2009 was the last time they did it. They'll try and do it again tonight as they host the Skyhawks of UT Martin at Forterra Stadium at 6 o'clock. Folks, if you can hear my voice and you're a football fan, if you're just remotely interested in good college football, you need to be at Forterra Stadium tonight. 6 o'clock kickoff. We hope you will join us. There are still tickets available. You can call ahead and get them. 931-221-PEAY. That's 931-221-7329. If you want to give them a call and get tickets ahead of time, you can also get them at the door. They've got a full staff on hand, so it's easy to get in and out. Get your tickets. No problem. No long line to wait in. It's not an inconvenience, and it'll be a great day, we hope, at Forterra Stadium as the Govs get set to host UT Martin. Tonight, they're the number 18 team in the country. It's been since 2009 that Austin Peay beat a ranked opponent. They'll try and do it again tonight. Here on the Big 1400 today, you can hear the University of Tennessee Volunteers trying to save their head coach as they take on the University of Georgia. It's a 2:30 kickoff here on the Big 1400. Airtime 1 o'clock. You can hear the kickoff call-in show here as well. And then I know all of you NFL fans locally will be watching the Titans game tomorrow as they get back into divisional play against the Houston Texans. That's a noon kickoff on CBS. I'm ready for a big football weekend. I hope you are as well. We've got to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. You heard from a new one today, and you'll hear a ton about them on this show from now on. We just gave you a sneak preview. You heard the ad for F&M Bank throughout our show this morning. They're going to be our new presenting sponsor starting next week. So we just wanted to give you a sneak peek at what is to come, and we thank the fine folks at F&M Bank for supporting the Saturday Sports Splash. That'll keep us here at least for a little while longer. We sure do enjoy kicking off your sports weekend, week in and week out. We'll do it all again next Saturday. Until then,